Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Afri Abundance. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing some information that I have gathered here in regards to my ancestry, my African heritage, and my roots. For many of you who have been following me for the last 5 years or so, I'm sure you were able to see that I shared a video of my African ancestry DNA matriclan test reveal. I have the folder here just to recap on that. I took this last year and I have been doing some research into finding out more about my people, more about the languages that they spoke, and today I'm going to be sharing some lingual resources that I have acquired. So I'm just going to show my ancestry certificate from African Ancestry, and I took this April 9th of last year. So mine states that maternally my lineage shares history with the MenDe people living in Sierra Leone. So as you can see back here, I have my Sierra Leonean flag. I'm very proud of my roots. I do have a small collection of flags that I am getting to hang up around my home. I have my Ghana flag as well, and I get all of these from Africa Imports, AfricaImports.com. So I can put a link in the description if you want to know where you can find flags like these. They're very large. This, I believe, is the largest one that they have. So it'll be quite the flag size there. And then I have my other Pan-African flag with the African continent on it. So today is going to be all about Sierra Leone, and specifically my tribe is the MenDe. There are various tribes within Sierra Leone. So mine specifically are the MenDe, and I was able to find a website, and I will also link that below, where they have shared a language manual for the MenDe language specifically. So I have gone ahead, downloaded the PDF file, and I printed it out. It's a very hefty language manual with 114 pages. 109 of those pages are printed with text. I believe the other ones didn't have any other information on them. However, this is what it looks like, and I plan on putting together a nice book that I can keep and pass down to my daughter and for her to keep in the family so that we all know our language roots. We came from the MenDe and we have our language here. So it just says here the Peace Corps, Sierra Leone, MenDe Language Manual, and you'll see an image here. This one is a revised version, so this was revised, and it will tell you what the edition is. So this is just the illustration page at the front. And I'm so excited to get into this language. It is very difficult to find the MenDe language on any of your regular language learning platforms like Duolingo. You're not going to find MenDe. You're just going to find all of the basic languages. So I'm glad that I was able to go deeper and find a Sierra Leone specific website created by Sierra Leoneans, created by MenDe speakers for anyone who is interested to learn. Specifically for me, this is very personal, so I'm excited to keep this in my family. So this is the first page, and I haven't stapled anything together, so I'm just going to share the first few pages that will share what the table of contents looks like and what you're going to find in this manual. There's a lot of information. It goes very deep into learning of the language. It tells you in different sections. So in the table of contents, I will share here. You're going to see part 1 up here. And in part 1, you're going to learn about the basic greetings. Like any language, you're going to learn the greetings, introducing yourself. It also talks about how to bargain in the marketplace. It will go over different ways to use proverbs, useful expressions, vocabulary. And then you'll see part 2 down here on this side. And this is going to go over vowels, consonants, consonant mutations, the tone. It's going to go over numbers, numerals, adjectives, pronouns, future and past tense, progressive forms, lots of very important things you need to know if you want to speak a new language properly and be well understood. Then on the second half here is still within part 2 because it looks like there's only 2 parts. So then it will talk about adverbs and the rest of the language learning pieces. There is an introduction. So I'm just going to read the introduction here just to give you a little bit of background into where this manual came from. So it states here, introduction. This MenDE language manual is written for the American Peace Corps in Sierra Leone. It is specifically designed for the volunteers who need functional knowledge of the language within a relatively short time. It has 2 parts. Part 1 is the result of many years of experience in Alumusa as a language and cross-cultural informant for the Peace Corps. The vocabulary and the sentences are based on concrete, everyday, practical settings. The dialogues are structured on situations in which the volunteer is bound to find himself during his service in Sierra Leone. A glance through this part will also reveal that it is based on the audiolingual approach to language teaching, whose tenet is that the learner rapidly acquires proficiency in the language through listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And then it will say here, from lesson 8 onwards, there are no English versions of the dialogues. It is assumed that the learner should have acquired enough vocabulary and grammatical structures to enable him with the dialogues. And then it also states here, the grammar guide in part 3 is written in simple, direct language. Self-explanatory, descriptive terms and phrases are naturally preferred to technical jargons. It is hoped that both the volunteer and the language instructor will find this edition useful. So as it states here, this is mainly used for the Peace Corps and people who volunteer within the country of Sierra Leone. So I think that's very nice that they put this together for people who are going to be volunteering, helping, doing humanitarian work, and being able to learn quickly. So I'm going to go to lesson 1 here. I'm just going to skip over to this first lesson page, and it's going to start with basic reading. And you'll see it spelled out in the what I've learned. I'm learning many languages for myself. I'm learning Kiswahili, and then I'm also learning Arabic. So I've learned that in Arabic, you'll see the written transliteration, which is the audio lingual way of pronouncing things and how they sound. So this has a lot of the same type of thing. It's like a transliteration of the language. So you'll see that here. So it's not written in English. It is written in a transliteration of the language. So I have never personally learned any of the words. I am very new to the MenDe language, as I stated before, on this journey to learning more about myself and my heritage. I'm excited to get into it. So if I pronounce anything wrong or if anything is not accurate, please, feel free to comment and correct whatever, you feel like it's necessary. I am in the beginning stages, so definitely appreciate any feedback from fellow Sierra Leoneans here on YouTube as well, who are proficient and know the language natively. So let's see here. They have the useful expressions here, and I think this is pretty simple with anyone. So it'll show you questions like, where is your father? Where is your family, and then it'll give you those same questions that you can ask in the MenDe language over here. I'm very excited about this one. I'm definitely moving really slow. Like I said before, am learning two other languages, Kiswahili and Arabic, which both in some ways have similar words and pronunciations of things. So I'm definitely excited to get into the MenDe language. It gives you a lot of back and forth language conversation, as it stated in the beginning. So you'll learn how to speak back and forth with another person who speaks the same language. These are useful expressions. So I'm definitely excited to embark on this journey. I have definitely been avid about sharing the link on where to find this, because I think it's important to get lingual information from native speakers versus someone who may have acquired their information from various sources. It may not be as accurate. So I'm glad I found this because it comes from native speakers. So I'm definitely excited to get into the MenDe language. This one here is another page for useful phrases and expressions. So it'll give you one half will be in MenDe and then the other half will be in English. So you'll see here one phrase, come, let's go. And then in MenDe you would say wamui. I believe that's how you may pronounce the word is spelled M-U-I, mui, wamui. Come, let's go. Lots of words, phrases. And as I stated before, it is a very hefty learning manual. So I think taking it lesson by lesson is probably the best way to keep up with your learning studies. I am someone who loves African proverbs. I love those really powerful kind of statements that Africans have used throughout slavery and throughout, different cultures, proverbs that mean things that are really deep. So I love that they have the proverbs on here. I'm going to read a few of them that are stated in English, and then I will try to replicate that in the MenDe. So I see one here. It says, one good turn deserves another, is a proverb. And then in MenDe, I believe it's Ngomo Loa Ngomogo. So you'll see that here for number one, and I read the first one here. There's another one that says, man live by man. There is no perfect independence. And I'm going to try to read this one. From what I see, tie a pua Gimbla Lalo Akpoi. Number 7 here. So this is what it looks like in the MenDE transliteration. And then this was the English version that I read here. So I love Proverbs. Very deep meanings. So they do have 2 pages for the Proverbs. Then it will give you vocabulary words. You'll have those. Lots of good stuff. So I'm definitely going to share the link for, as I stated before, anyone who is on their African ancestral journey, figuring out maybe you come from Sierra Leone. There's not one spoken language throughout Sierra Leone. MenDE is one language. I have learned that there is Creole in the Sierra Leonean continent or country within the African continent. So each tribe has a different language. The MenDE are just one tribe. So there is a lot to learn. One shoe does not fit all, and it's definitely good to do your research and learn about how diverse the African continent is. So that's going to be for this one. And I'm also just going to go back over the African Ancestry DNA testing that I did. It was a very simple process. I'm still very satisfied with knowing that African Ancestry is the only DNA company that has this database of samples. They have the most in the entire world, more than any other Ancestry DNA platform. So for anyone within the diaspora who wants to figure out who am I outside of just identifying as a Black person, it goes deeper than that. So they're definitely worth the expense. It may seem like it's really expensive or whatnot, but it's definitely worth it to give that to your children and to give them a sense of ownership over who they are. So they do the master clan, which is your mother's mother's lineage, which is the one I did. So this is only a portion of my ancestral background. So once I learn my patrilineal, which is the next ancestry test that they have, it would be your father's side of the DNA strand. So they're both going to be very different. And if you think about it from the sides of all of your family, your mother's mother, my mother, and her mother, that's one side. But that doesn't tell what her father's mother was. So learning all sides of your DNA, you're definitely going to find something that you never knew. And I think it's really nice to give yourself that historical background to really open your mind and learn more about yourself. And this is passed down for thousands and thousands of years. So this is definitely the most accurate. It's not made up. It's not fake. This is the most accurate that you're going to get outside of regular Ancestry DNA tests. And as some people seen before on my channel, I did do my Ancestry DNA test, and it only gave me percentage samples. So there was some lineage that came from Ghana, 5%, but the bulk of my ancestry on my mother's side is MenDE, and I did not see that within the Ancestry DNA's database. So they weren't even able to pick up Sierra Leone because maybe they don't have enough samples to fit people with Sierra Leone. So I thought that was very interesting that I never even seen Sierra Leone within that Ancestry DNA test when I took it. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it 2 thumbs up. Stay tuned to my channel for more of a immersive journey into the MendeLand, into Sierra Leone, the cuisines, all of those beautiful things that I am excited to share and experience with other fellow Sierra Leoneans here on the channel and on YouTube. I definitely would appreciate any feedback that you have, any information or websites that I can go to learn about the history of how the MenDe got to America. What did it look like? Was it through the slave trade? Were they free? What was the history and how did we get to America from there? So like I said before, give this video 2 thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more DIYs, recipes, and reviews. Thank you so much for watching.